Stefan, as you know, there is a lot of disinformation about this trial. And could you please tell us for what purpose did you initiate this trial and what exactly happened during it?
Well, thank you very much for your dedication, for your work. And this is, I think, one of the most important contributions to end it, to spread the information and so that the people feel secure in what they are thinking, seeing, finally feeling, you know. And the measles virus trial is really, really powerful. Even only when you go into some details, you know that there is still a lot of music inside beyond what is obvious when you're just reading the sentence. I did it in order to prevent the measles virus obligatory vaccination in Germany. And I even was asked by a former Minister of Justice to come up with actual results demonstrating that there is no proof for the existence of a virus. So the vaccine can be useful and can only harm. And so this is why I offered 100,000 euro. And now the first important point for a publication of the Robert Koch Institute. This is the German highest health authority governed directly by the German government, and they are doing the basic research in infectious diseases. But I knew they have no single publication at this time on measles virus, so it was easy for me to offer 100,000 euro to demonstrate they have no publication. But for 10 years or more than 10 years at this time already, they were forced by law, the law of infectious diseases, to carry out scientific research on the measles virus, but they didn't. They only came up with photographs saying, look, this is the measles virus, but it was without it was not within a scientific publication. When people ask them, hey, where this is published? No, it's internal material and we don't give it out of our hands, and this is not science, you know. So, but then the whole story started. The court made the decision that it must not be a paper from the Robert Koch Institute in order to get 100,000 euro. It could be other publications from other international institutions, and it could not be only one. It could be several papers, and so the whole story started. And the most important thing to know is that the judge, which was the referee, which was invited by the judge to decide if in 6 publications a young medical doctor was presenting to the court. First, he presented me the 6 papers, and I said, look, it's none of the Robert Koch Institute. All the 6 papers are anti-scientifically, because the control experiments are not even mentioned. And I said, it's obvious that only parts of dying cells are misinterpreted as a virus, and the whole structure never shows up. So I wrote to this doctor, I said, look, there is no proof, and the 6 papers are anti-scientifically. Either way, he started the court trial, and the court opened the court trial with the decision, no, it must not be a single paper, it must not come from the Robert Koch Institute, and it can be 6 papers. And even if one paper has not the proof, the indications of those 6 papers together could be an idealistic proof which we would accept. This is how they opened the trial, and I was not allowed in the trial that I was asking as a virologist, I discovered a virus structure which I thought it's a harmless virus at this time, and I could not ask myself questions to the referee. And this was, of course, ridiculous. But what happened? a young judge, it was a judge with 3 judges, a young one, she came directly from university. She asked the referee the right questions I could not answer, I could not pose to him. So what happened? The referee said, yeah, no control experiments, knowing that then none of the paper is scientifically. And he admitted this, and he admitted that in biology, it's never possible to have scientific proofs like in chemistry, in physics or mathematics, but we have only indirect science with eventually over decades become a scientific proof. And so saying this, I knew that I won. Of course, what happened when the referee admitted that there are no control experiments, the judge knew that I won and he lost. And he stood up and made a sentence, but he would not, it's not possible to act in this way. It's only in penalty law to put a sentence, but not if some in the civil law, if one of the 2 parties is not agreeing with this and if it's complicated. But the only way to save his face and to save the strategy that none of the 6 papers contains a scientific proof, but altogether the arguments from the 6 would give a result. So he stood up, made a sentence. Even the referee was not sent out. Even the other parts of the trial were not opened, were not discussed, were not decided, were not closed. So he made the sentence, and I knew, okay, I won in a double way. I have the central statements of the referee, and I had a violation of the law by the judge himself. So the only thing was then to find a lawyer who would join me to go to the higher court, because without a lawyer, you cannot present your case. And it was the hardest thing to find a lawyer. I had 2 in meantime, but they worked again 100% against me. Probably they were thinking I'm crazy, or they were afraid of the court or of the mass media, I don't know. But they were 100% against me. And only when I found somebody who himself, as a lawyer, was in this trial and saw that the law was violated, this one agreed to be my lawyer on the High Court, and there I won. So the aim of the court was to prevent the measles virus vaccination being obligatory in Germany, because the reference institute in Germany has no scientific proof for its existence. This was easy. But then it became even better. One of the 6 papers delivered to the court case is the very central basis, not only of measles virology, but the whole new virology we have after 54. We had an old virology, they gave up themselves doing control experiments, and then we have a new virology with the notion that the virus is a genetic material. And this is, there's only one single paper publication representing the basis of all virology. And this is one of the 6 papers. And the sentence says, none of those 6 papers contain a scientific proof. And what was proven in the first level of the court case, that there are no control experiments. So all those papers are anti-scientific and could not be used to justify any means to wear a mask, not to go out, to be tested, to deliver vaccines, even less, of course, obligation to be vaccinated. So that's the meaning of this court trial. And it's more music side, only to mention one, what I didn't know, but the High Court in Stuttgart, they were so mad on the lower court in the city nearby that they wrote in their sentence something that I was not aware of at the time being, that the court who made the decision had the 6 papers not in their hand It was not part of the trial. They had not in their paperwork the 6 papers. You must imagine, they do a court trial, not having the papers we are speaking about. And this is a violation of law, which is definitely, there is no punishment beyond 1 year. And so this is waiting for those judges when this is going to be public, because a lot of people are at risk with the vaccination, because it's a public fact that vaccines do have so-called side effects, and 1 in 100,000 vaccinated is dying, measles virus, for example, vaccine. And so you can calculate how many people were dying because the judges in this low-level court in the city of Ravensburg violated the law. And this is the music which is still inside this trail. And you can be sure, as soon as this is surfacing mass media, the juridical system is protecting itself and let the politics explode, but not themselves, never ever. And so this is one of several aspects. I'm absolutely convinced that we are going to succeed. The truth, the facts, biology is going to succeed. And in a real biology, there's no good, no bad, no virus, no killer, no mutation, nothing of this sort. And this biology is going to surface, definitely.
Thank you so much, Stefan. At the end of everything you won, and I was reading the protocol from the court. And this inside this protocol, they obviously did not say that they admit to the fact that there is no proof for measles virus existing. They said that it just that this doctor did not satisfy what you asked. You asked him for 1 publication and all of this, and he just provided 6. So at the end, they did not want to admit to the real victory that you had.
Look, after the High Court trial was closed, the court was saying to the public, and all mass media have been there, no, we personally believe in the existing of the measles virus. So this is how this was neutralized. But you should read the last sentence of the sentence of the High Court, and there you will find written that there is no scientific proof of a virus in a single paper, and this is what I was asking for. So that means that all 6 papers have no proof for the existing of a virus, you know. And this is what is one of the point. And the second point is that the referee admitted there are no control experiments. And the rules of science internationally have been laid out, had been written in 1998. And everybody who receives money from the state doing research, he's obliged to follow those rules. And it says that every step, every technique used have to be proved by control experiment, that not the technique itself give rise to the result. And so if no control experiments even were mentioned and not documented, then it means it's anti-scientific. And the argumentation is here and now that in the law regulating infectious diseases, in German it's the Infektionsschutzgesetz. So we have in a paragraph 1 that all dealing with these issues of infectious diseases are obliged to carry out science in its latest state. And it's not you may use science, no, you must. And this is the difference. And this word shows that they have to subject themselves to science. And that's the argument. They haven't, to the contrary. Of course, not knowing what they are doing, because our culture believes or has to believe in materialistic interactions only. No spirit, no consciousness, nothing is allowed to explain things we see in biology, you know, and which are obvious. A word can kill, a word can heal. So a word can hit your heart, it can hit your bone, it can hit your stomach, you know, and then you'll die for this certain kind of condition, right? So unless you are healed yourself or you get the help. And yeah, so this is since 2,500 years in science, this is not allowed to speak about. And therefore, everybody in this field of science is only allowed to think in materialistic ways and manners. And that means for every kind of situation which is not normal, so-called disease, we have to think that there is a material carrier of disease. And this is where everybody's inside. I mean, the challenge what we have, it's easy. Look, if the people believing that your own body's molecules forming themselves into a unit of a very dangerous terrorist organization called cancer inside your body, being stronger than your own body, and that this terror group is going to move from the ass to the brain. And this idea calls metastasis, you know, and this is where the joke stops, because the great part of the population is believing into this concept. And this is it, why the majority of the population is vaccinating themselves. This shows exactly how much people are in this thinking. Because if you are believing in metastasis and that the material interactions, so the terror interactions, are stronger than your own body force and will and understanding and heart and belief, so then you are also automatically believing in flying metastasis, in viruses. So you spit out the terror. And this is our belief system. And so therefore, nobody's going to lose faith and contrite. Everybody's saving the face because we are one. It is our culture. And we have a lot of advantages which this thinking or ideology was bringing to us. Technique, for example, internet, so we can speak. And this is one of the prerequisites that something is changing in humankind. Only when the whole world, all the population is interested in one thing, and if there are means of communication. If a continent, for example, gets clever or in under understanding, all the others would not follow and make war on them. And so this is what we have. And we really have to leave all this good and bad notion. And this is the way, and Corona, the turning point in the history of humankind. So I'm happy for the situation. I'm sorry for its victims. And I feel sorry really for those being in charge, because they feel and see the contradictions, but there is no way out for them in order to think. So it is on us to help them to save the face. And this is what I ask, to interact warmly with heart and with understanding, not arrogant, you know, I'm more clever than you, but this is the way how we spread the word farther, more and more. And one day, one moment, we'll reach where the balloon is exploding. Because when a person in a situation of responsibility admits, okay, that's not true, that can't be, that was an error, and we stop all those means and blah, blah, blah. And this is the moment which is going to come and where we are work for. And so I'm very grateful for you giving such a lot of people the opportunity, and especially in a lot of different languages. This is very important, because every culture and every development, every thing out of different cultures are needed in order to get this challenge solved for everybody. And so without exaggeration, the work you are doing to spread the word in different cultures, especially Russia, right? This is of greatest importance. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Stefan, but it all would not be possible without you. And I'm forever grateful for your work. I wanted to summarize a little bit. So during this trial, you showed these 6 papers that this young doctor provided that are the base not only of the measles virus, that are the main publications that are supposed to prove its existence, but of the whole virology. They actually don't show and don't prove anything. And so there is no proof inside for any virus, measles virus, and any virus at all. And another thing that is very important about this trial is that you did this control experiment for measles. So could you talk a little bit about them?
Yeah, I did the control experiments, and the funny thing is the judge was saying, oh, it's not important to consider them because he won anyway, you know. But when something is dealing with life of a lot of people, or even with a single one and their health, when they get some information which is important for everybody, they have to follow the way. So they didn't. So this is one of the part why there is still a lot of music in this trial, right? A lot of music, I can tell you. So anyway, so I did it in a measles trial, the experiments, how virologists treating their cells, but not infecting them, but exactly doing the same. So they are dying exactly the same way. And what I did taking public sequence data from humans and did the same assembly and alignment as bioinformatics from 1 million of small pieces to create a big piece of nucleic acid, which they say this is the core of the virus, the viral genome. So I did the same, and it was funny. It was done by the most prestigious and important institute in genetics since years worldwide, the Beijing Institute of Genomics. And I said, look, when it was about to pay the bill, they did this bioinformatician information for me. I said, look, I need it for the court trail. If you have to come to Germany, how much would cost this? And they said, no, we never agreed that we go to the court trail, and no, we refuse to go to the court trail because that would be the end of our business. And then they said, look, in order that we are not agreeing that you present this data in public as our data, you are not charged for the work we did for you. So anyway, but at this time it was clear they use normal nucleic acid from humans, and then they create their genome. And of course, it's not so complete. They said, we have to do a little bit grammar on the sequence because the sequencing has a error rate, and so we calculate a little bit with an error rate, and so they smoothen the genome. And this is what they did in for example, in 2014, 13 with the measles virus genome. So, and now in Corona, what they are doing, they read the sequences. Of course, they are only human. And then they see, oh, they don't get the genome complete. And then they make a very dirty PCR called deep metagenomic sequencing, and then they get a huge variety of data, and with this data they fill the gaps. So this is what they are doing now with Corona. But if you follow the steps, you'll see they never ever had the full genome somewhere. Even when they did the direct sequencing, it's never able complete. The second step they always have to do, it's to make a very dirty PCR. Very dirty means more than 20 cycles. And then it becomes very dirty, producing all kinds of sequences which are not there in reality. And this is what they are doing now. And this is what we did as a control experiments in Corona. We did the same, treating the cells like the virologists doing. They die exactly the same way like virologists would say, this is the proof of the presence of a coronavirus. Look how they die, the cells. So this is done and published. And the second phase is that we show that when we take out the RNA out of normal human tissue, treat them exactly the tissue virologists are doing, and then we make a very clean PCR, that means 12 cycles. With 12 cycles, we'll get 20% of the genome of SARS-CoV-2. When we do a very dirty PCR with 30 cycles, we already get 98.5. And in the meantime, I have to look for another lab, because this lab said, look, when we sequence, we won't do you 40 or 45 cycles because it's so ridiculous. The theory of PCR can't work more than 35 cycles. It's impossible, because it can't possibly work. And you produce sequence out of their own. And so, but in order to get the 100% full, I'm looking for a lab which would amplify the same material which we stored. We are not putting the hand on it, right? So this is proven that this is a pure matter of PCR, how much cycles you are doing. And yeah, as soon as this is ready, we are going to publish it in a open peer review journal. There are a lot of them. And in meantime, we even found a tool, bioinformatician tool, software tool virologists are using, where they treat the raw data they get in a way how biochemistry would do it. So they must not do the PCR. They must not do the deep metagenomic, very dirty PCR. So there is a software tool creating the variety of sequences, what if the same as if you would do a deep metagenomic sequencing. And with this software tool virologists are using, we have 100%. We have the genome full. And that's the scientific disproval of the whole thing. And later I can mention more on this.